Sounds good.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cracking edition of the Matt Brown Show. This is the Secrets of Fail series where we are talking to entrepreneurs and CEOs all about their epic business blunders. And with us in the hot seat today is the founder and CEO of a number of companies. But for today, there's going to be one elevator pitch. It's DAPPER, and his name is David. I'm going to hopefully pronounce the surname correctly, Pachkovsky.
Yeah, that was almost perfect. I'm impressed.
Legend. That's what I do.
Yes.
Righty,
Like
not my first radio, David. Okay. All right, buddy. Well, let's, it's coming. You've been following the show and stuff. So, what is the elevator pitch for DAPPER?
Yeah, so Dapper Care provides high quality, affordable healthcare in minutes, not days. That's my the short version.
So, there's lots of talk about healthcare and the issues here and so forth, which was always amazing to me. Coming from an emerging market where, like South Africa, where, healthcare seems to be more robust and so forth. But what is the actual issue here when you say healthcare reimagined? Like, walk us through what are you guys actually doing there?
Yeah, so the problem is that, in the US, which, it's a great place to live, except for the healthcare system is broken and antiquated, and people struggle to get the care they need when they need it. Embarrassing doctor visits are, they're inconvenient, costly, and inaccessible to the average American. So, we've got, a good percentage of the people in the US live in primary care deserts where healthcare is inaccessible. So they have to travel an hour and a half to see a doctor. And the people that do live, like I live in California, the average time to get in to see your primary care doctor is 26 days, which is, crazy. And we're not even getting into the whole health insurance piece. So, so that's the problem. And it's just inaccessible to the average American. So.
Yeah. And South African living in America, pal.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's lots of innovation happening in the space. Like there's a guy, I forget his name now, Andy something, but he runs Crowd Health. It's like crowdfunding for healthcare. So let's say you break your ankle, whatever, and you don't want to go through the insurance route, the typical health insurance route.
Right.
You actually get crowdfunded by other people in that Crowd Health network, which is pretty cool.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool.
We're a cash pay only solution. So the idea is that you're going to get access to high quality, affordable healthcare with medication delivered free of charge to your home and 24/7 access to a healthcare provider for less than the typical copayment. So $70 to $100 each month. So we're anti-health insurance, although, we know you need it for, invasive surgeries and that kind of thing. But over 70% of, the issues that people have can be treated with telehealth, which means that our solution can be a viable option for people. So.
Well, as long as it's viable, dude, let's make it work. We need more healthcare innovation, that's for sure. So look, let's get into the meat, the potatoes of this one. What is your epic story of fail for our audience around the world today?
Oh, I've got lots. Where do I start? But I think the biggest one that comes to mind, which was, kind of it was the turning point for me to actually launch Dapper Care, was back in 2020. So I've just a brief background. So I've been a serial entrepreneur. This is my 15th company that I've launched. And I've been in the health and wellness space for 23 years, selling direct to consumer marketing, mostly in the nutraceutical space, but lots of different health wellness products. I've kind of perfected that, and my claim to fame is, I've sold $1 billion in these products to the consumers, this niche audience. So, but depending on whatever the trend is, my marketing company, we kind of pivot to sell these products. So in 2020, with the COVID and everything, it was just natural for us to pivot and start, offering treatments and different products that related to COVID-19 and, exercise, diet products. People, they don't have access to all this stuff at home. A lot of it was drop shipping, and then, nutraceuticals and stuff like immunity boosters and this kind of stuff. Anyways, it's giving me anxiety talking about it. Just kidding. So we launched the business, or launched this vertical in right when COVID hit, and we started testing it, and part of the marketing company, which is called Branded. We have an affiliate network as well that drives a lot of traffic for us. So we don't tend to have a slow ramp up. We're kind of like a rocket ship, which is exciting for investors, but it's quite a ride for the people that are, on my team. But so we launched it, and the first month we did $20,000 while we were testing things and getting, figuring out which products we were going to convert and stuff. Our second month we did 800,000, and we doubled every month after that. And things were, after doing this long enough, you kind of learn, you're able to, foresee it, when problems are going to arise. But the problem is that it's in I think it's just in our DNA that we're naturally a little bit greedy. It's hard to resist sometimes when you're riding the wave. That's what we call riding the wave. But it's like we were growing too fast is really the bottom line. We were scaling up. We had, I think, 5 people that were on this team, and when by the time, so that we launched in like February, by the time summer hit, we were up to 70 employees. And this is all self-funded, like myself, and at this point, and I had another partner that I've had for 20 years with me, and things were manageable. But see, I guess the biggest problem in the drop shipping business and e-commerce is high risk, or anything that's nutraceutical related, and the merchant accounts are you have to have high risk merchant accounts. They don't have very big of limits on them, so you have to have lots of them, and it's a stressful business. I wouldn't recommend it for anybody. But we basically were adding them as fast as we could and scaling up, because we were projected to do 30 million our first year. And come July, I'm sorry, we actually went in. It was a Thursday, I remember, and our publisher said, well, it's going to be a big weekend, and we're going to really crank things up. Everything looking okay, inventory, merchant accounts, check. We called our rep at Chase, not to name names, but and Chase rep said, oh yeah, everything looks good. Your chargebacks are below 0.01% or something, extremely low. Have at it. So we unleashed hell, and we did 1.8 million over the weekend, and which was awesome. But it's the most frightening thing on the weekends because no one's around. And if anybody that knows from digital marketing, when you've got these campaigns rolling, you can't just stop them. So if you run into problems, everything kind of goes to hell. And we we said, well, if everything works out here, we're going to be happy campers. And if not, I'm going to be, you know, ready to jump off a bridge. So Monday came and no deposit. And Tuesday, no, nope, no funds. Called the rep. They said, yeah, everything looks good though. I don't think there's an issue. I've just be patient. So we waited. End of the week didn't come. Anyways, long story short, those funds, 1.8 million were held they ended up being held for a year and a half. So, and legally they can hold them for up to 6 months after the last chargeback that comes in, and there's a lot of gray area there too. So, but yeah, we even sued them, cost us a couple $100,000. And they finally released them. But see, the problem is with this is that we didn't have any chargebacks. We weren't doing anything wrong, but their system, which was on high alert because of what they call it friendly fraud, which is the biggest problem in the industry when it comes to causing chargebacks. And friendly fraud, and I think we've probably all been guilty of it, but it's when you see a transaction and don't recognize it because of the descriptor on your statement. And so you just dispute it because they make it so easy to do. When that happens, what happens is we have to refund the money, and then we get charged the chargeback fee. And then we have to pay a chargeback company like Chargeback 360 to dispute these things and fight them. And it's a big pain in the ass. But anyways, so once that happened, it was like, okay, these funds are frozen and we're cash in, cash out. And what do we do? It's like we could have $1 million in the account at the beginning of the day and have 10,000 at the end of the day because we were paying for our product that's going in and out and in the marketing. So, so we thought fast and acted fast, and we were lucky because at the time, our partners that were helping us run the affiliate side, they helped us raise capital. We raised $3 million actually in 2 weeks, which is a record considering fundraising is a pain in the ass, another whole subject, but we did it. But the problem is that we covered we got the product out, but the problem is that now I know this, but it's like the damage is already done. You just don't see the effects of it for 2-3 months down the road, because what happens is it takes a while for the chargebacks to come in. People wait, and then the product gets shipped, and you have to get your customer service to have full autonomy to try to refund everybody, and they're not asking for the product back. So you're eating the cost of the product and the refund and the charges, and it's a pain in the ass. So long story short, it's just we recovered from it, but it was a short-term recovery because we kept scaling up, and eventually our costs, our overhead just got to be ridiculous. I mean, we were operating at like a $400,000 burn rate or something like that on a weekly basis or something. So we ended up shutting the business down shutting that part of the business down at the end of the year.
Dude, what a crazy story, man. Crazy story. So when you think about that whole experience, what stands out for you as like a key lesson that you now take forward with you in your sort of entrepreneurial journey?
Don't get into the internet business. No, I think, it's like, I think what it comes down to is honestly, you really have to, follow what your gut feeling on things, and not what, everybody else is telling you, or what that, there's kind of like when you have enough experience with it, my gut was telling me, don't scale up, don't scale up this quickly, because they say realistically, if you want to keep your mids or your merchant accounts healthy, or, and this could be for any business, you're never supposed to scale more than like 10 to 20% on a monthly basis. And I mean, and I know this becomes a problem too when you're, especially if you're venture backed, because your investors are, barking at you to get things cranking. And so, you want to scale up. And I mean, we had over 200 mids merchant accounts at that time. So just to give you an idea, it's crazy. But the problem that we really made, and this doesn't, relate to everybody but us, was because we weren't prepared initially for this. We didn't know it was going to scale up so fast. We didn't have the mids or the merchant accounts, enough of them set up yet, and so we leaned on our main merchant account through Chase because we had 20 bank accounts with them, and we thought we had a good enough relationship. There wasn't issues. Don't ever do that. It's just for what? Yeah, don't ever bank with Chase. I don't, but I mean, but just any of them, it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. It's a dangerous move because you don't realize how much like control the banks have over your money. I mean, they've got you by the gonads. So
yeah, it's not ideal, dude. It's not an ideal situation, right? But if you could, David, get into the Map Round Show time machine and kind of go back to yourself when all this stuff was happening, what would you do differently and why? I mean, apart from banking with Chase, what have you, but what would you do differently?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it really, if I would have completely did it differently, getting to why I started Dapper. Well, Dapper was, created out of the fact that of a necessity, but it was kind of like I created Dapper because it fixed all of the things that I've done wrong or had issues with over the years, and especially with the way the business was before. Because now we're not selling nutraceuticals, which are unregulated. And, I felt like a snake oil salesman, even though I was able to sell a lot of them, and they actually work for people because the fact that a lot of it's mental in your head, it's placebo effect. But now everything that we sell, even if it's an over-the-counter product, all of our treatments are FDA approved, and they're managed, by a doctor. So they're prescription only. So because of that, now it's heavily regulated. Our merchant accounts, we're able to use any merchant accounts. We're using, Stripe now. It's not high risk, and so we don't fall into the issues with chargebacks. You can't legally, you can't even return your medications anymore, so we don't have to really worry about all that mess. And now I actually feel good about the treatments and the products that I'm actually selling. And so I guess that's really what I would have done. I mean, I would have started earlier, and pivoted to, that what I'm doing with Dapper Care. I think, it's a more long-term viable solution. And rather than, I think it's really easy when things are cranking and everybody's excited, you tend to just act on your, just whatever's happening in the moment. But sometimes you just gotta slow down a little bit, reevaluate, or this is another thing. I didn't have any advisors then, and now I have lots. And I think sometimes advisors can be detrimental, but I wish I had them back then, because I could have had an outside opinion, look at the whole situation, and go, dude, you're gonna implode here pretty soon. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, hindsight, brother.
Yeah.
That's what's going on right there, brother. So listen, what's your advice, bud, to other entrepreneurs or CEOs about, the importance of failing, like going through these hardcore processes of failure when we're building companies? What's your advice to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's, I've heard you say it too, but it's my motto for branding, my marketing company is always, is that um, everybody passes failure on the way to success. And it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's when. Everybody does. But the key is to just, learn from your mistakes and move on, and don't dwell on it. I mean, when I was younger and I was, I had a couple of exits when I was young. I started my first company when I was 15. I had my first exit when my senior year of college. But so I thought, I was untouchable at first, but and then I had a company, implode on me back then, in like 2003 or 4, and it really dragged me down for like a couple of years because I just was dwelling on it, and you can't do that anymore. You just, I can't. So I just, that's why, I know I really learned from that, because like I literally used my epic failure in 2020 as fuel to actually, you know, to actually jumpstart Dapper and get this thing cranking. So, and that's really what's the driving force. So.
Yeah, I was the same, man. I moved to London when I was 19, started a record label. I always had like music and business, those are my two things. And then I sold that company when I was 26. And then I also thought, basically, if you tell any 26-year-old entrepreneur that they can walk on water, they'll believe you, especially if they haven't failed. And then, of course, my reason why I'm saying this is I did the exact same thing. I was like, fuck, I'm a failure, and you dwell in it and this and that, and you beat yourself up, and you castrate yourself, and then and then when you get older, and like, I don't know old you are now, but like I'm 44, and
Yeah,
like I have zero, like I give zero fucks about if a business dies. It's just a business. Like I care about the people that it impacts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But as far as the entity is concerned, don't care.
Right.
Don't
Yeah.
care.
No, and the other thing is that you stop caring. You always think that, what are other people going to think of you? You're going to be the laughing stock and stuff. And when the older you get, you realize no one gives a shit. No one does. I mean, it's yesterday's news. That's it. So.
Absolutely, dude. Well, look, let's quickly talk about books, tools, and resources. What do you recommend?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I'm a avid reader, but not. It's funny. When I was watching the podcast yesterday, some of the other ones. I think I've read every single book that people mentioned in the last ones. So nothing really new, exciting. But I do. I mean, I read a book, or I listen to a book every week. That's kind of what it has been for a long time, and I'm big into like self-help, and I guess I pivot all over the place depending on what my interests are. Like I was listening to like human lie detector, type of books, and startup, and now I'm into more like mental focus and Zen type stuff. I mean, tools, I think, like what really helps me is like it's so easy to get caught up as an entrepreneur, and like it's totally consumed. And now I have 2 little kids, 5 and 7, and a wife, and it's like you're gonna have burnout if you don't have an outlet. If you're not taking time. Like I work really late. I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning every night, but it's like, but I always block off my schedule from 6 until roughly 10 o'clock. It's phones off, focusing with my kids, downtime, eating, whatever. You got to have that. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. You're just gonna burn out.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Mine's every Friday. I don't take meetings, and then I go ride my KTM in the Rockies.
Oh, man. Sounds amazing. I love it.
That's my thing, man. But no, and then obviously in Colorado, it's the snowboarding and what have you.
Yeah, I love it out there.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you're saying. Well, David, incredible story, man. And obviously, congrats on moving into Dapper Care. It's a very important problem that you're creating value in. And yeah, man, just congrats on all your successes and failures. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Anytime. Everybody else, we'll see you again soon. Cheers for now.
Take care.